welcome back into the lecture series on nanotechnology in agriculture. So, as of now we have talked in depth about the seed treatment with iron pyrite. The reason to stress upon it is that there are very few studies as of now which has seen the whole production in the field post seed treatment. As a matter of fact, seed treatment as such has been studied with nanomaterial mostly in terms of germination, how it influences the germination. But to see the whole spectrum of growth in terms of germination to emerge growth and analyzing the final product, hardly any study is there, almost none, at least which are published. So, that was one of the reasons why I invested so much time on telling about one material which has have a result of the complete spectrum in terms of the final production and their nutritional analysis. Today what I will do, I will give you a kind of a summary sheet of the other nanomaterials which been investigated currently or under intense investigation, primarily at the level of either foliar spray or germination or seedling treatment and the growth, but not the I have given you all the productions and everything, not in that level. So, one of the common nanoparticles which has been used pretty frequently is silver nanoparticle. Okay. And by the way, even if you miss out here, I will be giving you some of those publications where these comprehensive tables have been included. So, you can really refer to those tables and you can check the cross references, and you will find there are quite a good number of studies which has come from India, and they are really pretty neat studies and you will appreciate. And there was one which you will like, which is on hydroponics. So, there are several line of applications which is emerging as nanotechnology is marching from its infancy towards maturity. We are realizing many interesting aspects. Okay, so let's continue. Silver nanoparticle has been used on jasmine rice. Okay, on jasmine rice seed priming, and it has been shown to enhance germination, representing germination by G, enhance germination, and it also promotes termination of aging in seeds. In other words, as we have mentioned earlier, that you can really stop that aging process within the leaf by manipulating its enzyme activity. That is precisely what silver does, and silver is an antibacterial and it has several other antimicrobial activities. Okay. So, this is about silver. Similarly, we have already told about iron, especially iron sulfur. It has been tried on chickpea. Similarly, zinc has been tried for a seed priming which increases seed weight and other aspects. Similarly, calcium, multi-walled carbon nanotube. Okay. So, zinc, calcium, multi-walled carbon nanotube. So, these have been treated as a seed priming which has been shown to increase the stress tolerance. This is another area where people are working, and you will have all the references coming up in the publication. Similarly, we have talked about iron pyrite, where you have chickpea, spinach, beetroot, carrot, fenugreek, alfalfa, mustard, sesame, rice, and the whole range. Okay. Similarly, if we move on to cerium oxide, another very important nanoparticle in terms of its biomedical application. It has been tried out in radish germination, but it has a negative result. It has shown it retards the germination, but that has its own advantage, because this is a very similar result what we have observed with spinach. it retards or it slows down the germination. Why it slows down the germination? This is an interesting question which we try to answer, because if you remember what promotes the germination, germination is promoted by removing the blockage offered by antioxidant enzymes towards amylase not to function. So, amylase, if you recollect, amylase is the enzyme which is involved in breaking down of starch, which is one of the most important event which regulates the germination process, right. Now, these antioxidant enzymes, catalase, superoxide dismutase, glutathione peroxidase, these antioxidant enzymes prevent the activity of amylase. But then what FeS2 does? FeS2 produces a trace amount of hydrogen peroxide. That hydrogen peroxide goes and breaks down the starch and releases the reducing sugars, and thereby the plant gets ready source of energy pretty fast as compared to the control ones, and it grows. Now, what cerium oxide does? Why cerium oxide retards germination? If you think of it, cerium oxide in nature is an antioxidant molecule. It's a 3-atom antioxidant which swap in its oxidation state from C3 to C4, C4 to C3, is an autocatalytic antioxidant. Autocatalytic antioxidant, and this is what cerium is all about. So, and cerium has been used readily in biomedical research, especially in spinal cord injury, in retinal degeneration of the photoreceptor could be retarded by supplementing the retina with cerium oxide. Similarly, it has been used in cancer patients who are undergoing radiation therapy, because it protects the healthy cells around the affected area of the tumor or the cancer growth. So, if you use an antioxidant, what you are essentially doing, you are adding into that list of 3 antioxidant what I told you, right? Catalase, peroxidase, superoxide dismutase plus cerium. So, you are actually preventing the seed from germination. So, in other words, that gives us a clue what it is. Say for example, you are storing seed and it is a damp weather, and you really have to ensure that they do not get bad. You can use this as a seed storage material. You understand? So, any result what comes, it is up to you where you want to apply it. So, you trace amount of it and it is going to work, because at the nano regime you really do not need a whole amount of it. Okay? So, that is why this piece of information that it retards germination could also be used for seed storage. Okay. So, glutathione peroxidase, catalase, superoxide dismutase plus CO2. This is the battery of which are working. Okay. Now, from cerium oxide, I move on to carbon nanotubes. Carbon nanotubes in tomato has been shown to enhance seed germination. Similarly, water soluble carbon nanotubes in chickpea has shown to increase the growth. Similarly, silver has been treated, silver nanoparticle has been treated on fenugreek seed. It increased fenugreek seedlings, it has increased the leaf number, shoot length, root length and wet weight. Similarly, molybdenum has been tried on chickpea seedlings. It has increased the root and nodule number, enhanced development of microorganisms in rhizosphere. Similarly, manganese have been tried on mung beans seedlings. This is the stage what I mentioned, seed or seedling or any other, foliar spray or something else. This increase the root length, shoot length, nodule number, and enhance development of microorganisms in rhizosphere. Similarly, manganese have been tried on mung beans seedlings. This is the stage what I mentioned, seed or seedling or any other, foliar spray or something else. This increase the root length, shoot length, dry weight, chlorophyll, carotenoid content and photosynthetic rate. Citric acid coated cerium oxide in the radish seedling retarded seed germination, but change the seed performance. As I already mentioned, calcium carbonate is tried on peanut seedlings. It significantly improved seedling growth. Magnesium tried on black-eyed pea seedlings. It increased seed weight. Similarly, iron tried on black-eyed pea in hydroponic, foliar and seedlings. It increased weight and chlorophyll content. Zinc oxide tried on mung bean and chickpea seedlings. It increased shoot length and root length and biomass. Carbon nanotube tried on onion seedlings. It increased the root growth. Zinc oxide, it is tried in cucumber. In the soil mixture azulon seedling, it increased root dry mass and fruit starch. This is very interesting. So, think about zinc, it increased the fruit starch. So, in other words, you have an ability to modulate the nutritional status of the fruit. Okay. So, now from there we move on to copper oxide CuO. It was tried on water wheat seedlings. It increased its photosynthetic rate. Cu2O, similarly Fe2O3 is tried on spinach in hydroponics. It increased plant biomass, root and shoot. Similarly, zinc fortified core manganese carbonate nanoshell tried on rice in soil. It increased grain yield. It is a pretty complex one though. You have zinc fortified, because zinc is fight against Chyra disease, zinc deficiency, zinc fortified core and manganese carbonate nanoshell. So, it is a pretty complex synthesis process which is directly applied to the soil. It increased the grain yield. Zinc oxide on chickpea through foliar spray and seedling increased biomass accumulation. Similarly, iron tried on wheat foliar spray enhanced photosynthesis, chlorophyll and biomass. So, this list is exhaustive. You really can go on and on, but the fact of the matter, what I wanted to highlight here is there are a series of it. So, if we really number the kind of nanoparticle we just now talked about, so if we list them, we talked about silver, we talked about iron, we talked about zinc, calcium, multi-walled carbon nanotubes, carbon nano onions, FeS2, which is pyrite. Then we talked about cerium oxide, carbon nanotubes CNTs, and water soluble carbon nanotubes. Then again a silver, molybdenum, manganese, citric acid coated CO2, which is acting as a carrier, calcium carbonate, magnesium, iron, zinc oxide, carbon nanotubes, copper oxide, cuprous oxide, iron oxide, so on and so forth. So, if you look at the whole list, it is fairly large, and if you look in terms of the crops where at different stages of it has been tried, that is also not a very small list. In terms of the grains, if you look at it, you have both rice and wheat has been tried out, legumes all over the place have been tried out, different kind of legumes. I am just going by the family. Then in terms of a series of vegetables which have been tried out, similarly you have some of the water weeds and all these things have been tried out. So, if you look from the nutritional perspective, you have starch, minerals and of course roughages and proteins. So, if we talk about where are we heading, the future is in these kind of nanomaterials, which will be dictating. So there will be a lot of studies which is going to come up in next 20 years or so, and this is going to change the landscape of agriculture. We are heading for a next revolution where beyond will start thinking the word beyond NPK's traditional journey. So this is where we are heading. We started as a race the last century, 1900, beginning 1900, the rise of NPK. And 100 years, 100 long years, a little more than 100 years actually, as a matter of fact, almost 125 years now about to be, in another decade or so. A journey which saw green revolution, emergence of dough varieties of rice and wheat, emergence of different kind of polyploidies in vegetables and other crops, in fruit crops. So tremendous development, and along with it, tremendous improvement in the productivity. It saw the rise of population. But as a fallout, we observe large amount of disbalance in terms of water resources. The ecosystem got perturbed. Similarly, the soil got perturbed. But then the march goes on. We are heading for precision agriculture, and the nanotechnology will play a critical role in precision agriculture, where smaller amount, maximum output. So people have apprehensions what will happen to the fate and all these things, and that will continue. I'm pretty sure when NPK came into the market, there were apprehensions, and you can't help it. We as a race will keep on exploring, just the way we explore hybrid seeds, we'll keep on exploring it. Genetically engineered crops, which are so common now. That's how a human race evolves. It will keep on trying newer and newer things. It will learn through its mistakes, and it will again do mistakes. So if I see the literature, I will say that's where the future lies. So it will not only be concentrated on crops. Already nanomedicine is making inroad into our medical world. There are several nanomaterials which are being used, from magnetic nanomaterial to antioxidant nanomaterial to drug carriers to anti-inflammatory agents, series of them, anti-cancer nanomaterial, delivering drugs beyond CSF, cerebrospinal fluid, into the brain. So next what we will talk about will be how these nanomaterials are influencing animal productivity, the animal world. So agriculture, as we have started, so if you look at the whole spectrum of agriculture, it will be plant world, animal world, and within the plant you will have all the categories, like you have the grains, you have the legumes, you have the flowers, you have the trees and all. But before I start the animal world, how the nanotechnology is influencing the animal world, we'll talk a little bit more in our next class about how nanotechnology can come very handy in nutrient deficient soils of the world, which covers a huge chunk in Asia, Africa, Latin America, and where fertilizer is exceptionally cost prohibitive. So I'll close in here. In the next class, we will talk a little bit about nutrient deficient soils and the application of nanomaterial, and then we'll follow up with the animal productivity. Thank you.